YouTube demonetized gun content? Let me see.
Hickok 45 and Son here. How y'all doing? Got some bad news today to share with you, and don't know where you're seeing this, whether you're on the Hickok 45 Clips channel or the Hickok 45 main channel or the Hickok 45 Talks channel. Okay. We're posting this on all three channels today. We just had a chat with our Google rep, and John, you want to share?
Yeah, he shared some unfortunate news with us. Some of you may have seen that YouTube changed their policy on gun videos on June 18th, and we were not aware how much that was going to affect us.
What did they do?
Until very recently, when we just talked with our Google rep, as Dad said. And you may notice that our videos posted since June 18th have been removed, and the reason for that is because essentially the new policy that pertains to this video, and what the problem is here, is that all sponsorships from companies that are either firearms companies or companies that deal in firearms accessories are a complete violation of YouTube's policies. And any videos posted with sponsorships of that kind post June 18th will make your channel subject to being completely terminated. Strikes and termination, right? And any video before that is subject to the video itself being terminated. So prior to June 18th, the video itself was at risk. Post June 18th, the entire channel is at risk. And as you know, we have had sponsorships like that almost the entire time we have been doing this. So it pertains to probably 95% of our content. So we are at the risk of losing everything and having to almost start from scratch. You know, trying to be optimistic. Hopefully something, can be done, and we can figure out a way, of course, to keep rolling.
All these things that were perfectly fine for, what, 15, 20 years?
Yes, exactly.
All of a sudden are horrible. But make sure that you are subscribed to the channel you're watching, and then also the other two. So Hickok 45 Clips, Hickok 45 Talks, and then the main channel.
Right, because it may be the only way we have to communicate with you moving forward, but we'll see what happens. We're trying to be optimistic, and we hope we can still keep giving you guys the content that you like to see.
Right, because I'm still hoping for that big movie role in Hollywood. I don't want to quit doing videos.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah, I'll get that call one day.
Yeah, it's coming any day now.
So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll keep you apprised of the situation. Life is good.
So
right,
I don't think that it's out of the question that YouTube has to do this because of some degree of regulation in certain countries. But I think that if YouTube is making this decision by themselves, they're wrong. It's a private company. They can do whatever. It's not about whether YouTube can legally do this. It's about whether I think this is a good decision for YouTube and whether I agree with the reason why they're making the decision. I think that a lot of these social media companies enjoy privileges that are afforded to them because they don't make arbitrary rules, because they exist as a platform and not a publisher. This is like Section 230 and a lot of other DMCA laws, etc. I find it to be very problematic that large companies like YouTube enjoy the privileges that are afforded them to them by the government, while simultaneously making rules that make people accountable for individual behaviors that YouTube deems unacceptable for arbitrary reasons. There's no real reason why a gun sponsor is a lot worse than showing somebody shooting a gun. Like, yes, obviously there's a call to action. It's slightly different, but is it different enough for me to say that one should be on YouTube and one shouldn't? I don't really think so. So what my problem with this is not necessarily that it's happening. It's that YouTube is having their cake and eating it too. They are enjoying the freedoms of a private company while getting the privileges of the government. And I think this is a huge problem, because a lot of these companies are effectively operating as a government themselves. And the worst part about it is they're accountable to no one. So I think this is a huge problem. I do. And I think if YouTube, and this is just like, again, it's one point on the graph. It's not really the whole story. But I think that a lot of people feel the same way. I think that if these companies want to continue making arbitrary rules like this, they should probably lose a lot of the privileges that are afforded to them by the government. They should, you should have one or the other. You should not have both. I think these companies should be held accountable. Well, the thing is that there are laws that prevent them from being held accountable. Like, I want you guys to know that if these laws did not exist, YouTube would not exist. Because YouTube, if you go on, and I've done this before, I'll do it again, almost everything on YouTube is copyright infringement. Every single thing on YouTube basically is. It's not like it's just music, it's movies, it's images, it's games. 99% of the content on YouTube that is licensed for, like, somebody has a license to it, that license is not being used on YouTube. So a lot of right-leaning people have gun-related sponsors too. Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense, right? It definitely makes sense. I'll link you guys the video. You can give them some support because I do think that this is absolutely fucking true. Give me 1 second if I can find this here. And yeah, want to be held liable for each thing that we say in chat? Well, do I want to be? No, but Twitch does. And this is my opinion. I think that unless you're removing things that are breaking the law, you shouldn't be removing content off of the platform because you are a platform and not a publisher. So unless it's breaking the law or putting people in immediate, imminent danger, then it should not be removed. It's that simple. What law? Well, Americans' law. Because the website's here in America and they're subject to our laws, obviously. What do you mean, what law? It's not even a question. Yeah, these companies are accountable to us. Like, absolutely, they're accountable to the United States. Like, if the United States said jump, YouTube would say how high. They don't have, like, you got to keep in mind, the government can just kill you. You can't go kill somebody in the government. That's not the way it works. They have a monopoly on violence. They have all the power. These companies don't have any actual power. So keep that in mind. It's incredible, yes. So canceling YouTube Premium now and saying that Google continues to destroy, screw its content providers. YouTube's such a joke. Sorry, I read bad news. YouTube is doing worse than Twitter in its prime. Just canceled YouTube Premium. High school teen. I learned about the tragedy of censorship in USSR. Yeah, move all 3 channels to Rumble. YouTube lets scam ads go unchecked. This is a really great point this guy brings up. Because how is it that you can have literal... Like, and this is another thing. Like, YouTube isn't being held accountable for this either. Let me actually... I think that the things are still available there. I'm just going to go incognito, and then we're going to look on YouTube again. So, like, for example, there's, like, Wow Gold for sale. A lot of these sponsors are things that are blatant copyright infringement. Like, Joe Rogan supplements. I'm not sure if I'm going to have one of these pop up or not, but there's a lot of times, like, yeah, Joe Rogan, there we go. Did Joe Rogan actually sponsor this? I bet he didn't. Probably fucking not. And a lot of these things are not being, like, so basically, they are stealing people's identity, using their identity to create AI versions of the person to sell something that the person isn't selling. And YouTube has no quality control for this. So, and the reason why YouTube is not held accountable for this is because they enjoy the privileges that every social media company enjoys on the internet. But those privileges have a responsibility that is attached to them. And that responsibility is to not make arbitrary rules and tell people what is and isn't okay because you think it might not look good for PR or you disagree with it politically. I find this to be very problematic. I think they're completely fucking wrong for doing this. And I think that if these companies keep doing this, I would love to see somebody like Trump or anybody else hold these companies accountable and say, if you keep wanting to censor shit, we're going to take away these privileges and you will no longer be allowed to exist. Because that's what it really comes down to. Trump is loving they do that? Yeah, I know Trump's not going to do it. I hope Trump would do it the first time. He's not going to do it. I don't think he's going to do it. Please do not take this as an endorsement of Trump. I thought that was going to happen. It didn't happen for 4 years. It's not going to happen in 8 years either. Let's be honest. So, yes. Biden's not going to do it either, though. This is not partisan here. So anyway, yes, they love the protection from legal liability. Yeah, exactly. I find this to be very bad. What do you guys think about this? You guys agree with what I'm saying here? Because I think this is complete bullshit. It's not censorship. YouTube's a private company. So why do you think that this isn't the case? I'm curious. Fully wrong. Because I think that you understand half of what I'm saying. Pre-rip bozo. This person hasn't been that obnoxious yet. I don't think that's really gonna, I don't think it's gonna be a ban yet, at least. I understand what you're saying, but you're incorrect on it being censorship. Okay, how is it not censorship? I think that it's censorship. I think it's soft censorship. It's definitely soft censorship, but it is censorship. Censorship would be if the government stepped in and disallowed it. YouTube is a private company, and they have made the decision to protect their own interests and shareholders. So do you think that you don't... So I guess like your perspective is that only the government can censor things? So is your problem necessarily the word censorship, or is it the argument? Because I feel like right now you're attached to the word censorship. We can call it something else. It doesn't really matter to me. It's the action and the effect that the action has that's the problem. It's semantics? Yeah, I'm not interested in having a semantics argument. It's pointless. He's wrong. Censorship is only done by a government. Well, let's look it up and let's find out right now. The suppression or prohibition of any parts, books, films that are considered obscene, politically unacceptable, or a threat to security. In ancient Rome, let's see here. Let's see some more definitions. What is censorship? Let's go back. We're going to go through like 4, okay? Let's read 4 of them. And the institution, system, or practice of censoring. So none of this has been the actions and practices of censors. This is kind of, again, a censor, a person who supervises conduct on morals, such as an official. So at no point in time is this... The government is used as an example for censorship, but the government does not actually have to be the one that is doing the censoring. Censorship, suppression of words, images, and ideas that are offensive happens whenever some people succeed in imposing their political or moral values on others. Censorship can be carried out by the government as well as private pressure groups. So this is from the ACLU. Let's go back here. We'll look at one more. Printing a whole book document being made as work public. So now that we've had this prohibition things. So this is not about government. So we've gone through 4 different sources that say the same thing. It's not semantics. You're pushing it in that direction now. Okay, so do you think that the Britannica, ACLU, Merriam-Webster dictionary are all wrong? And you're right? They're not making a call on the morality of the content. They just don't want it on the platform. It can go somewhere else still. Censorship is not congruent with morality, and also subversive of the common good. Now, morality can be one vector in which censorship is applied, but censorship does not have to be applied in a moral way. Also, I think that the argument for guns and the promotion of guns is, in fact, a moral argument, too. So your argument wouldn't stand even if it was accurate, and even, your argument is not that this is not true, and it would not stand even if it was true. So, yeah, what are you doing? I'm not being disingenuous. The content is not something that YouTube thinks advertisers would want to continue still being tied to the platform. So I think that YouTube's ability to get advertisers is not more important than their ability to be a platform. Because they are able to get those advertisers and be a platform because of the fact that government provides them with that ability. So if YouTube needs to do things that effectively void its privileges in order to get advertisers, then it should no longer have those privileges. Why should YouTube enjoy privileges if they're not doing the things that those privileges are supposed to enable? The government does not have an obligation to make YouTube advertiser friendly, but YouTube has an obligation to act like a platform because that's what the government says. And they have massive liabilities that they don't have to deal with because of that. They only have a duty to their shareholders. This is completely disingenuous and this is retarded. No, they don't. You have a duty to the government because the government, or you are directly accountable to the government. You think you're accountable to your shareholders? Break the law and see what happens. I think this person was completely disingenuous about talking about it. He completely ignored the points. He was just arguing about semantics, trying to say something that's clearly not true. It was disproven completely. Like, I have no problem having an honest conversation with a person, but when I feel like a person is being dishonest or disingenuous or unfair, and they're not listening to what's being said, that's it. Stubborn, dumbass chatter. Yeah, exactly. And that was, by the way, hey guys, that was censorship. I just censored him. That's what happened. Yep. And I bet he's probably mad. I just got censored. Yeah, you did. But I'm not the government, so how did that happen? I guess you didn't get censored.